Hey everybody, welcome to the Struggling Hunters. You're with me, Eric Stewart, and the man, Mr. Joe Imes. Joe Imes, how you doing today?
Doing pretty good. I'm excited for this podcast and to discuss some topics with you, whatever they may be.
Yeah, definitely. We are definitely trying to work on some free flowing topics. Just let them come to us as they come. Um, Speaking of that, how did you feel about last week's podcast?
Uh, I think it was kind of interesting. As I thought of it, interesting is for me to kind of think, like how, just the I don't know, like not I guess important or kind of being the first time I've ever been recorded myself in a podcast. Just kind of like the I don't know, like the cool, not cool, like trying to like, hey, I did that.
Yeah.
But that's some of the takeaways, is trying not to be someone that I guess I'm not, or trying to continue like trying to put words in where they probably maybe shouldn't be. Just trying to that way I sound like I know what I'm talking about, or trying to talk my story up. It was interesting for me, a little different. Well, how about you? What do you have any takeaways or anything yet?
Yeah, I feel like I was a little nervous. I feel like I kind of lost my thought a little bit a few times, and I can be such a perfectionist at times that I beat myself up over that stuff. And what's really funny is what happened like last week's podcast to this podcast. I know we're only a few minutes into this one, but my nerves are so much calmer, because I guess in a way I've been here before, if you will, and so I feel like a little bit smoother or whatnot. And I mean, I'm sure the first few are going to be kind of rough, and we're going to be figuring out a direction in where we want to take the struggling hunters. But as of right now, I mean, yeah, last week was kind of a rough one, I felt like, on my part. But you know the biggest takeaway though is I had a lot of fun, and I had fun, being able to do it with one of my oldest friends. And so for that, I want to keep getting better and keep, we're some diamonds in the rough. Some may say crystals in the rough. Uh, but, um, I think that we have good content that we want to talk about. Um, I know for me, you know, I I hope that I never get lost. Like, as time goes on and we're making more and more content and everything, like, I don't want to get lost and remember and forget these times of how sometimes our hunts are tough, or that we, like, so we can always relate to somebody that's trying to learn how to hunt, or and we know how to explain ourselves in a way that newer hunters will understand what we're getting across. And I'm kind of rambling on, but
No, I think you do have something there. Like just trying to make sure that you're kind of trying staying true to the sport and true to like why you enjoy it. Why you go to the woods for the reasons you do. Not losing sight of your uh, of your legacy, I guess. Of who you've who you've been, or who you were growing up to who you are now. Not getting too focused on on a particular item that you know don't don't do what you want to do.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Um, yeah, like, um, yeah,
So when you made the comment of like being longtime friends, uh, I don't know if you remember, but back in high school, one morning I think back before cell phones, and or like even in the growing up like we did there in County, we there was no cell tower, so I don't even think anybody had a beeper. We you almost more or less, if you want to get a hold of someone, you had to stop by Colonel's or Cloningers to make plans or something. But I was wanting to go hunting and I didn't want to go by myself. And I think I got up early in the morning, came down and knocked on your door at like 5 in the morning or something like that. And we ended up going up. I can't remember if we went up party that time or if we went up driving up the river one. But I just remember
oh,
just
yeah,
come to your house and like pounding on your door, like, hey, it's 5 o'clock in the morning. You want to go hunting?
yeah. I don't quite remember doing that, but I definitely remember those hunt trips with you in high school. I remember both of them. The ones where we were trying to scout across the river and
Yeah.
see if we could shoot something out. Again, man, the struggling hunter. We've been struggling hunters since high school, man.
So I remember. So I hate to admit it, but like when we did that one, we were scouting across, looking from one side of the river to the other side. We had the only way that if we did get something, we had to drive all the way back into town, cross the bridge, and more or less like, hike down the railroad tracks,
Yeah.
6 miles to get to where we would have shot something. And I remember I did take a shot, and I was like kind of all, overconfident. And I just picked up a 7mm Remington mag, and I was like, oh yeah, I got this long distance rifle now. I can shoot these long shots. I didn't have a rangefinder or nothing. I think I remember you sitting there like, you're really gonna shoot that? I was like, oh yeah, man, I got this.
No,
I set up and I was like, all right, here we go. So I take a shot, and it, like I had to. I feel bad. I had no way to like confirm it was a miss, other than like the deer ran away full bore like uphill, and it didn't even act wounded. But I'm sure I missed it because I have no clue how far it was. Or I really how even accurate my gun was. And I just remember you sitting there, you gonna shoot? Oh yeah.
So I remember that very well, and I kind of I in my head I remember watching your bullets be like, I don't know, 10 feet short of actually hitting it. that I mean, I don't know, I could be wrong about that, but that's what I thought I remembered was like you would shoot and we'd sit there and watch. I mean, God only knows how far those deer really were. There was some nice bucks though. I remember you were shooting towards some nice bucks. But what I remember is kind of watching it and seeing the dirt fly, and but it was like 10 feet under the deer. That's what I kind of remember. But I also remember you being so confident though. I do like your overconfidence was making me confident, right? Because I'm like, you gonna shoot that really? And you're like, oh yeah, no big deal. And I'm like, okay, yeah, no big deal, let's do it. And but yeah, not now after all these years to know that you're just didn't even know what you were doing.
No. I mean, I think the farthest shot I've ever taken at a deer up to that point was probably 100 yards. So like I've never, like shooting. That was way before like everybody was into like I didn't like shooting long range. Trying to get out to 600-700 yards or whatever. I was like, oh, yeah, I got a good rifle. It can do it.
Yeah. That's so funny. Yeah, I thought that you've been there before. Uh, didn't somebody tell you about that kind of hunt? Because I never did that before, and you're the one that introduced me to that.
Well,
Uh,
I don't, I had someone tell me that they canoed across the river to spots and they'd hunt that way. And so like I tried to go out, like my plan was to, I, you know, wasn't the smartest thing to do. Looking back, that's one of the things I've learned is trying not to shoot something that you can't, confirm. But I tried to hunt far enough away from town that I was far enough away, but not too far. I
yeah,
couldn't down the other side of the tracks to get to whatever it was. But yeah, that was the first and only time I did that.
yeah, yeah. Um, so you never did that again after that?
Uh,
Really?
yeah,
All these years, man, I thought that that's kind of just what you did because you were so confident about all that, man. I all these years I thought that's how you hunted, man. I didn't know that that was the one and only time that you ever tried that.
yeah. So I was probably 17-year-old full of testosterone and adrenaline. I could do anything.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's funny. Yeah. Yeah, I never heard of that kind of hunting at all. And then you're like, oh yeah, people do it all the time. I was like, okay, well, if they do, because I was like, I remember whenever you first like brought it up to me, I was like, is that even legal? And then I
Probably wasn't. I mean, we were down off the road, so we weren't necessarily like, you know, sitting in the truck. We were, down not even on the road when I made the shot. But
right,
I
right.
don't think you're supposed to shoot across bodies of water.
That was the part that I thought maybe we were illegal on is shooting across bodies of water, but I mean you were shooting uphill. It wasn't like you're shooting down toward the water, so
Right.
who knows? Hey, you know what? I'm pretty sure um what is that called? The statute of limitations is
I know.
we're way past this, so they'll never get us now. We're okay. We're
You
okay.
can't prove it.
Yeah. But yeah, that was God, that was so much fun though. I do remember that. And then I remember being down there in Pardee too.
Yeah.
Um that was a lot of fun too. Remember all the bear poop?
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
was the biggest thing that I remember about it is there's bear poop everywhere up and through there. It was
I
crazy.
was kind of excited to go in that area. And then I think at, the tags we had, you could shoot either a buck or a doe. And not that it was a bad hike, but I just remember coming across does, and I was like, I'm not shooting a doe back in here. I'm going to shoot a doe. I'm going to shoot one down the road from my house.
um so I have a story about Pardee that is probably there might be truth to it, but there's probably it's it's probably impossible to fact check. But I heard that I believe it was Teddy Roosevelt used to bring
You
his.
there?
I'm right here. Did I lose you? Uh oh. You there?
Yeah. Sorry. You just all of a sudden froze.
Yeah, you did too. I don't know what happened. It sounded
Huh.
like there was a 1984 Mazda that drove by and then we lost all reception. So I don't know. I don't know what happened, but it wasn't good. So did you hear what I was said though about Pardee? That
No, I missed all that.
okay, so Pardee, there was this old tale that I used to hear from I'll just say people that lived in Idaho forever or whatever. Um, did you freeze again? There you are. You froze again. Or I froze again. Are you doing okay?
Yeah, I think I feel okay. Maybe it's that coronavirus.
Your phone caught it.
Yeah.
It's freezing up. Instead of overheating, the phones just freeze up. But but anyway, so I swear, man, like this Part story, they don't want me to tell. It's like
Right.
the government's kicking in. So did you hear what I said about the president?
No, all I got was the people that were like lived in Idaho for a long time would tell a story, but that's all I got.
Okay. So older folks that lived in Idaho used to tell this story about President Teddy Roosevelt,
Okay.
that he used to drive through Pardee, or not drive through, sorry, take a train through
Uh-huh.
Pardee, and there used to be like a hotel there and everything. It was a big it was a big stop for the train to like unload goods and stuff like that whenever Pardee was a little town. It's kind of a shame that there's really no pictures of what the town looked like. I mean, it couldn't have been that big. It probably was more of a train station than a town.
Right.
Anyway, there was a hotel there, and Teddy Roosevelt used to stop there and take his mistress there for the night. I've heard it. I tried to Google it. I've never been able to like prove anything was true. So I mean, it's hard to say, but I always thought that was an interesting story about Pardee, Idaho.
Huh.
Um,
Interesting.
so yeah, so anybody that looks it up, um, there's really nothing there anymore. I mean, a little bit of cinder or concrete and cinder blocks or something.
Yeah, and I think like a little bit of a silo, concrete silo or something is left down there. That's even still there. I haven't been there in 10 years.
Yeah, yeah, probably longer for me. Had to have been longer for me. I haven't been down there for um, I don't know, probably since like 2005 maybe or something. I mean, I don't know. When I probably been down there whenever I was living there, but yeah, it's been a very long time since I've been there. But anyway, yeah. So I don't know. I just always thought that was a cool story about. I mean, whether it's true or not, I don't know. But I always thought it was a cool story about Pardee, Idaho. So but yeah. So uh, as far as Idaho or hunting in Idaho, um, what what else do you got, Joe? Like, did you what other areas did you hunt in Idaho that you really liked?
I had the opportunity going up like the Selway area, hunting muzzleloader for I think I had a cow tag. That was a kind of a cool opportunity that it was that I didn't realize how much of a heyday we grew up in. As far as hunting goes,
Mm.
like now it kind of stinks because like you get like 9 days to hunt. Where we grew up, like growing up, we'd get a month and a half to hunt for a deer with a rifle, and then you get a black powder stamp, and then you hunt into December, and like you could hunt if you didn't fill your tag with your deer. You're hunting your cow elk with certain areas. You can hunt both your elk and your deer muzzleloader clear into December. And so I got to go up there and do some hunting up in there. That was that was fun. It was a pretty drive too, going up the canyons there to even go hunting. And I wasn't good enough to get anything. I just didn't see any elk or any. Well, I guess there was. Uh, I saw some elk when I was sitting at the truck, but didn't have my gun. When I was out of the truck, I didn't have my gun. I went
Mm.
to yeah, but yeah. So I was hunting with with Louie and Devin,
Okay.
and Louie was there. Louie and or Hunt was there with a couple of his friends and stuff, and we were in two separate vehicles, and me, Louie, and Devin were in one truck together, and I made it back first, and so did Hunt and all his buddies. They made it back to their truck, and we were waiting for Devin and Louie to get back. Devin ended up shooting something. They were cleaning it, so they were getting back a little late. So I'm in the truck by myself, and I was like, oh, I'll go check to see how the other guys did. Like see what they had any success or saw anything, and so I get out the truck, and in the back of my head, I go, oh, I should grab my gun. I'm still technically hunting. It's like, oh no, I'm just leaving the truck. So I walk over to talk to them. They're like, oh, yeah, I didn't see anything. Walked around a little bit, and oh, that's cool. So I started walking back to the truck that I was driving in. I get halfway between them, and these 3 cow elk start like running across this meadow, like 60 yards away. And I remember sitting there thinking, okay, what do I do? I don't have my gun, like
Yeah.
gun in the truck. So I just, elk. The other truck doors fly open, guys pile out, and they just take off running, trying to trail the elk. And meanwhile, I'm running back to my truck and grab my gun and trying to run out and trying to get a shot. But they were on a dead sprint. And you know how elk are, when they get moving, they move. There's no way of catching them.
You'll never catch up to them. Yeah, exactly.
And so Hunt, every time I'd see Hunt after that, he'd always say, hey, I remember that one time we were out elk hunting and you stood there with the gun in your hands yelling elk.
he kind of ad-libbed to the experience. That I take it. That's funny.
Irritated. You're like, oh, I didn't have a gun in my hand. I was in the truck. And, oh no, I remember you standing there with the gun in your hands yelling elk.
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, I never really went hunting up to the Selway, but I did go bugling one time with my older brother. My older brother had a friend that had a cabin up there.
Yeah.
And I went up there and actually stayed in that cabin a few times, but yeah, we'd like go hiking up around in there and go bugling and stuff, and it was a lot of fun. I don't know why I never did really go like elk hunting up there, but I just never went that way. I was kind of more the El Dorado area, Lolo Creek. Hunted a lot of spent a lot Maggie's Creek. Spent a lot of my time kind of hunting in that area, so never really went up to Selway to hunt, but yeah, it's beautiful area up there for sure. I mean, such great area.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, that's a lot of fun. So speaking of bugling, when are you going hunting this year, or do you have an exact plan yet?
I don't really have an exact plan yet. I was going to get my dates out, but I'm still haven't quite decided what area I want to hunt in yet. It is because I kind of got 2 opportunities with archery, with any bull tag. I can do one area where I can hunt any bull, like spike, any branch antler,
Yeah.
or another area that I hunted last year. It's just a spike only because it's a premium unit, so you'd have to have a premium tag to hunt a branched antlered bull in that unit. But I could hunt a spike elk in that unit, and I did run into a handful of I heard some elk bugling this last year and saw a cow, but like I said, I haven't quite decided yet which way I want to go. So, but anyways, my plan is to spend some time prepping as far as shooting my bow, getting ready that way, So, but yeah, and the other thought is, bugling. I haven't done much of bugling, so I need to practice some. I think to try to at least locate them or call them in.
Yeah, for sure.
That was one thing that was cool. Is when I did get into them and had them bugle and just hearing them. That's one thing I've always enjoyed is sitting there in the woods and hearing an elk bugle crack off. Like it's just one of the one of the fun opportunities that you get to experience. In wildlife. Hearing a bull elk bugle.
Yeah, it's funny you say that because I was back in the day when I lived up in Idaho, I was almost more addicted to that and than actually hunting them. It's just bugling with them, just talking to them. Um, I never, and I still haven't, as far as archery or muzzleloader. So like, I guess what I'm trying to say is by the time rifle season comes around, the bugling's usually over. But back in the day, we would go to well, I did it at the Selway. I'd do it kind of all over Tahoe and just like bugle the elk and just have them talk back. And when I was learning how to bugle, it's kind of funny because I've never bow hunted and I've never done muzzleloader, but I do know how. I'm not saying my bugle is the purtiest by any means, but I know how to bugle. Like I do it enough where I'm okay. I'm not great or anything, but I can. But what I was gonna say though is whenever I was learning how to bugle and I was practicing on live elk, it was amazing that some of the ugliest bugles that you've ever heard, they would actually talk back to you. It makes you wonder what it's all about because man, I'd lay out some ugly bugles and I'd have an elk talk back and some of the friends that I was with, they'd lay out this beautiful bugle, just perfectly timed and sound beautiful and then like no response. But then I lay out and whenever I was learning, I would lay out this ugly bugle and I'd get a response. Not every time, but it was just funny that it happened. It might have even been a one-off, but it was just kind of a funny story that I was thinking about that used to happen is whenever I lay out those ugly bugles, I'd actually get a response. So it's just kind of funny, but I want to get out there this year and kind of do it again whenever they start
Well, I think I'll be
getting in their rut. Go ahead.
right. I was gonna say I think it'll be fun for taking your boy out and having him experience that. Like letting him hear a bugle back at you. And
Mm.
see how that's one thing I think it'd be fun for it for Carter.
Oh yeah, he'll be hooked. He'll be hooked. And speaking of that, I feel like a good segue. Um, I mean, this being our first podcast, I feel like that was pretty good, right? That was pretty good
Yeah.
segue right into this. But speaking of Carter, um, I think that's what this is all about, like us making content about hunting and sharing our struggles to some of our successes to us just talking about the fun that we had growing up. It's really about spreading the word of hunting and what hunting means to us. Um, and so, uh, that it's, I guess what I'm trying to say is like, I hope that eventually we get to the point where we're inspiring people with this podcast and whatever other avenues that we take by making content. We're getting people into the sport, or at least admiring the sport from afar, because they understand where we come from. And starting with like my kids, my boys generation, like it's really neat. And that's one thing that I feel like has changed now. We both live in different areas, and maybe if we would have always lived in Colorado and you would have always lived in Utah, we might have never noticed this, but where we lived in Idaho, everybody hunted. If you didn't hunt, everybody would look at you like the outsider.
Right.
But now where we live, to a point, I mean, I know I can say for myself, like most people understand the hunting world, but there's a lot of people that don't hunt around here. So it's almost like flipped, where they look at me weird that I hunt. And it's a very weird psychological thing, but I see it as a problem, because I'm like, you've never hunted, you've only like maybe fished or whatever. And I don't know, I just think it's kind of a shame, because I feel like our generation, everybody hunted. That's just what you did. We practically got a day off of school for it. And whenever they started to not let you have a day off of school for it, they all understood where you were on opening day when nobody showed up to the class. So it's just been a weird thing to watch through our lifetime. People not understanding the outdoors. When we were kids, I felt like everybody just understood it. Like that's just what people did. And,
Right.
and so anyways, I just hope that we can inspire people. That what I'm really trying to get at in this, my segue, is that I hope that we can inspire people to want to, give the sport a shot, or at least, even help support the sport by doing whatever, whatever they see in their community where they can help. Maybe mentor somebody, or whatever, or donate, whatever, I don't know. But all I'm saying is, like, mostly just like, hopefully we can get people to you know um
Give the like. So I think give the sport a chance. I think one of the things is right
exactly.
now too. It seems like I used to be under the mentality of you kind of got to have the best gear. I'm not to say, like I've never really had the best gear, but I always put myself as down as a hunter. Like, oh, I don't have that $1,000 rifle or that $800 bow, or the $50 arrows or whatever. Like that's just not how. For one, it's not. I guess money is, only you can only allocate money certain ways, and pie can only be cut so many pieces, and so you have to watch where you're going. But like at the end of the day, if you want to give this hunting a chance, you can make it happen. You can find a way to do it. You don't have to have the big money. It's we're public land hunters, so we put in for a draw. If there happens to be leftover tags and some things, like you can go buy them over the counter, but it's not like we're going out and paying some rancher to hunt on his land or anything. Like not saying that that's not bad. If I had the opportunity to hunt on private property, or someone gave me the opportunity to hunt high fenced or something, sure, I'd take it. If that opportunity presented itself, but just having the opportunity to go out, like we were talking earlier, pick up a bugle tube and go out in the woods and crack off a bugle during the rut. And to go experience that. There's things you can do to have a good time or to get your feet wet. Like I mean, I'm sure it's hard to find if you're trying to get into it. You got to be respectful of. You can find someone to shadow or to take you out, but you got to be respectful of the time that they put in the woods. Like you don't really want to slow them up. Make sure you're in shape, or you know, gain understanding of the area you'll be in, so you don't get lost. You know, try to make yourself ready, so you could go with someone. You know, like more than likely, people won't mind you going. It's just whether or not you're prepared to go with them. You know, it's my little 2 cents on it.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think that's a good thing, and I feel like we're kind of just opening the doors on this, because the one thing with the hunting community is it's a funny community, because um I feel like we want the hunting community to be strong, but we also want to be left alone, and we don't want to tell you where we hunt.
Right.
You
That's
understand?
true. Yeah.
Like, so, like, even me, like, I'm big into, like, especially because I feel like there's two ways about it. Like, I don't want everybody to hunt, because then they're gonna put more or the parks and wildlife uh will put more uh rules and regulations on our hunts. The more people are out there hunting, I mean, they'll take all the money in the world, but eventually they're going to be like, hey, there's more people out here hunting than we have tags and game, and it could get very chaotic if everybody wanted to hunt. But I am an advocate to try to get people to go hunting, or to try it, and try to get into that avenue. But I mean, I go back and forth, because I'm like, I want to help people get into the sport, but then I don't want too many people into the sport. I want the community to be strong, but I don't want to take people to my secret hunting spots. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
I don't know. It's always kind of the yin and the yang to everything, and but at the same time, I think to evolve hunting, and to evolve, you got to try to get people to come in to the sport, and you got to be a mentor. So I don't know, that's my 2 cents. So but yeah, so um I don't know, what what kind of here's a question that I have for you. What kind of arrows do you use currently?
Currently, they're the Cabela's. I can't remember, but they're like the cheaper side of it. I think I'm 25 bucks for a box for a dozen.
Oh,
So
really?
like, yeah. So they're nothing special, but but if I know how to use if I learn how to use my equipment, they're gonna take down, whatever I'm shooting. But that's, I don't really, not that I'm not that I don't feel I'm gonna see the benefit of having, a more expensive arrow right now. I'm not My bow, is a 20-year-old bow, so it's not shooting with the most um, torque, or whatever the proper wordage is. It's not a lot of uh, poundage. I think it's set at 56 pounds, and I don't know that, and right now, that I'll ever shoot more of a powerful bow. Like, I feel like I could probably handle a 70-pound bow. But that's, I don't know. At 50 pounds, does a clear pass through, on an elk or whatnot. So, as long as as long as I can get my skills better, right now I haven't had a opportunity to release an arrow on an elk yet. This will be my second year trying with a bow for elk. But so I guess what I'm getting at is having a more expensive arrow, or a brand new bow. I wouldn't even, I guess, paid for my bow yet, or like if I had the expensive bow, it's not like it's made me that better of a hunter because I haven't even, I guess, acquired the skills or become the hunter to have the opportunity to have a shot with an at an elk yet. So I but yeah, but what I can say is the arrows have you've been working good for me. I haven't had any issues with them.
Yeah. So you feel like, I mean, you've been hitting, like, whenever you're out there practicing and everything, you're hitting your targets just fine. And
Yeah, like my group is, like think I was out at 60 yards. I was hitting a paper plate. Like my grouping isn't dialed into a small. I ain't hitting a 1-inch group at 60 yards, but I feel like I'm hitting a kill zone at 60 yards. But but I again, I need to spend time practicing. That's the only thing.
isn't that funny how we can get caught up though in, like, you know, these whatever company, I mean, take your pick, but we'll have a commercial or something about, the carbon fiber ultra light, blah, 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 super straight, and you get caught up in that. But then at the end of the day, it's like, I mean, you don't really need it, I mean, it's just, it's not, it's kind of, you know what I'm saying? Like your Cabela 25 or your dozen for $25, is shooting in the kill zone, and, you're doing good. And I guess that kind of brings up another point though, is everything like, um I mean, you can try to have all your top notch gear, um and pose for Instagram, and make sure that the company names are there, and then go in and watch TV, you know, because you took the Instagram picture off your front porch or whatnot. And I'm not hating or anything, but what I'm saying, what I'm getting at, I'm kind of going the long way around to get there, is kind of with what you're saying with the bows. Like, man, we all started out with nothing, like, I mean, I got hand me down camo like all my life until, a little, whenever I finally like got a little bit older and stuff, and I finally bought my own camo, and um I bought my mossy oak pants and coat and shirt, and I mean, I kind of went all out, but we all start out with, like, I started out with a 33 or a 30-30 rifle, 33. I don't know what that is. I started out with a 30-30 rifle, and like, and I worked my way up, and which I'm at a 270, which was great in Idaho, and I do need to bump it up to at least a 30-06 now, right? But still, like, that's kind of what I'm saying is, I mean, it's okay to gradually get there. If you're lucky enough and you can buy all the stuff, go do it. I mean, if you can buy all the Sitka gear or whatever, and the fanciest gun out there, go do it. But I mean, I'm not hating by any means, but I feel like one thing, and I mean, it makes sense because there's sponsorships involved and stuff where we don't have that. What I'm trying to say is a lot of other shows don't ever say this, but just get out there with, even if you're in jeans and a Carhartt jacket. I mean, how many years did we all hunt with Carhartt jackets on,
Right.
or an off-branded Carhartt? I mean,
True. True. Very
so,
true.
yeah. I mean, did you have camo? I don't remember. Did you have full camo?
Um, Growing up, uh, hey, how are you? I
Uh-oh.
dropped you on the floor there.
Joe
But
had to go.
uh, growing up, I think I had uh, like a pair of pants that was camouflage and a pant or a shirt that was camouflage. But I think I had a pair of, it's funny. I growing up, so I had a pair of black Wranglers that like those were my hunting pants through the season.
Uh,
Like like that was. I don't know if I thought that like black was like a little bit better of a camouflage, but I mean you had to wear an orange. You were rifle hunting, so you had to wear an orange vest. But I just remember thinking, like those. I don't. Did I wash them through the hunt? I think I'd go like like a week or two, get home from school or football practice or hunting on the weekends, and I'd throw on um, my black Wranglers, and then my my logging boots. I can't remember what brand they were, but like it wasn't, there weren't no hiking boots, and then yeah, I don't even remember what sweatshirt and ball cap or whatever, my orange, and go out hunting. I didn't have full camo or anything new until to a year last year. I finally broke it down and bought some camouflage for the bow hunt.
yeah.
Uh, yeah, there was a moment in time where I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna buy all my jackets and sweatshirts are all gonna be camouflage, so that way I don't have to spend money on hunting gear and like regular clothes or whatnot. But like I'd go places and not that I was ashamed, but I was just like, man, a camouflage jacket just doesn't fit where I'm at right now, or
Yeah,
so
yeah.
like I kind of backed off on getting camo for a little bit because I was trying to you know I guess buy clothes every day and that I could wear every day and then hunt in too.
Yeah.
But anyways, yeah. So I growing up, I didn't really have all that many. I remember I kind of felt bad a little bit because uh, like someone had a pair of camel pants or something. They're like, oh yeah, I got them on sale at Walmart. So growing up where we did, we Walmart was 70 miles away, and so if you needed something, like you had, I think Dell's Cashway was the only like kind of outdoor store that we had that was a gas station slash hunting store. Like and they had a good selection of stuff for what they were. But
They definitely had what everybody wanted in that town for sure. I mean, they had the market cornered, and they kind of
yeah,
knew exactly what to do. The only thing that they kind of lacked on was apparel. Like if they would have had more like coats and stuff, it would have been nice to.
but so my mom, she I can't remember, but anyways, I asked her. She went to Lewiston to pick something up, and I was like, hey, pick me up a pair of camouflage pants, and or something, and I remember she picked them up and like whatever. I can't remember how much they were, but I remember mom kind of being a little more like like, hey, you know I can't remember if I had to pay her back or give her some money back or something. But I
Uh,
just like getting these camouflage pants. I think I was a junior or senior in high school, but like it was kind of a big deal for me. Like
yeah.
it wasn't like like, oh yeah, got some new pants. It was kind of like almost well, it was a sacrifice in a way. To, and I wore those things out. I don't know if I wore them. Like when I'd go hunting. I think like the pattern was faded, but I wore them up till about probably like 6 years ago. So like I wore, I every time I'd go hunting, I'd wear them. But they finally, I think I blew the butt out of them or the crotch. It got too fat.
Yeah, that happens. That happens. Believe me. Um, that's funny. Um, yeah. Now that you're explaining those pants, I feel like I vaguely remember you like in those in the camel pants. Um, yeah. I uh, so I got made fun of for, I mean, I was a little bit older, but I would always get like hand-me-downs from people and stuff, like my camo pants and stuff. And usually it was the ones that they didn't want to wear anymore. You know, they finally got like a cool pattern that they wanted or something. And I'd get, you know, whatever it was. They're like, yeah, you know, you can have these. I don't want them no more.
Right. You're like, yeah, man.
Yeah, I was. Um, but I remember one time we were older, in our early 20s or whatnot. But me and Tyson Davis, um, we went hunting, and we met some, we kind of just met some other guys, or whatever, that we knew or whatever, and they were making fun of us because me and Tyson were all camoed out, right?
Uh-huh.
And they're like, "Oh, no wonder you can't see any elk today or whatever, because you guys have all your camo on." You know, they're, because some people were like kind of against the camo thing at that time, and and I remember me and Tyson, we were talking, and I was like, "Man, it's not like I'm really trying to be like sneaky or anything away from the elk. It's just the fact that I love to put on all this camo, you know. I love to be cool like that, you know. So I've always kind of just loved putting on my camo. And but yeah, man, it's always been a struggle to you know, have the best equipment. And you know, I mean, the best thing you can do is, you know, if you're fortunate enough to go buy it all. But I mean, at the end of the day, you know, just buy a piece at a time. You know, don't feel overwhelmed. I mean, I don't. You know, I never do. Um, I budget myself mostly because my wife would kill me if I really went and spent all our money on hunting stuff. But and I would if I could. But yeah, I'm pretty sure she'd kill me. You know, if we couldn't afford the lights and a few other things, because I went and bought everything. But you know, I just budget my hunting stuff out every year. I kind of just make a list, and if I can afford it, I'll get it. And I mean, that's where it is now. But I will say that's one thing that's kind of changed as I've gotten older, though, is, you know, I get older and I go, you know, because there was stuff like whenever I was younger, having the wore out camo, faded camo, all that stuff, until the butt fell out of it or whatever. I didn't care to buy a new pair of pants. I was like, I got my camo pants. I don't care. I wear them, you know, for a few months a year, and put them back in the tote, and you know, I don't think about it or whatever, you know. But so yeah, so I would you know, I'd wear my camo until it all wore out. Um but I don't know. I guess nowadays, like, they just make such good stuff anymore, and everybody wants it. But
No,
it's
that's true. I'll second that. You know, it's, it will make your hunt better. Probably, it'll take, you know, good gear is going to take some stress out of, like staying warm, or, busting the brush and wearing some good equipment that's not going to, you're getting to get tore up, or, but, at the end of the day, too, it's, you're you're out in the woods, like you're you're having, that experience that you can only have out there. And
yeah,
no matter what you're wearing, you're still gonna, to me at least, like, yeah, I might, be a little colder or whatnot, but still I'm in the woods.
yeah, yeah. No, and that's really what it's about, man. Is just that, being out in the woods, getting that fresh air. I mean, just clearing your mind of everything that's going on in town, at home, and just being. I mean, I know I sound like a hippie. I don't know if that's the wrong thing to say or not, but man, being one with nature a little bit, you know, just being out there, and you know, being a little bit miserable, being a little bit cold, like, it humbles you as a person. It toughens you up, but it also humbles you, as far as is like, you know, like, realizing that you're not all that in a bag of chips, you know. I mean,
Right.
seriously, a little bit, you know, like, when you're out there freezing your butt off and kind of wishing that you were, you know, next to a campfire, or a fireplace with some hot cocoa, you know. you're in the middle of a blizzard or whatnot, and it humbles you. It makes you, it kind of like makes you appreciate life for what it is whenever you get back home. And I definitely, every time I go out and like we go to hunt camp like we have been able to the last couple of years, man, every time that I come back to town and like get back to the regular routine, um, yeah, it definitely changes my perspective on a lot of things. And I always tell myself I need to get out and do this more often because it's just good for mental clarity, and it really clears my head, and makes me appreciate life for what it is a lot more with no pressures except what's in the woods. So yeah, I don't know, man. I recommend being out there, um, for everybody, and I know it does me wonders just being out there, and then being able to go out there with friends too, and being able to hang out and do your thing. I mean, that's the best part about all of it, is hanging out with your buddies and stuff. So
True.
I feel like I kind of went on my own path there. I didn't really stay on subject, but yeah, man, I do feel though, besides getting out in the woods and stuff, what I was gonna say is the one thing that like, so as I get older, the more I kind of look to that stuff. That's kind of where I was going, was whenever I was younger, I didn't care. I would wear out my camo, I'd wear out whatever I had until I got holes in the butt and everything else. Um, but as I get older, I'm like, I am kind of looking at comfort a little bit more, like, whenever I was a kid, I could suffer through all that because didn't know any better. Now I'm starting to get to where I know better, and I'm like, yeah, I kind of want that more expensive, nice fit and stuff, and just kind of have more comfort out there in the woods. And I think it's a problem because I hate, the thing I hate about it is I hate admitting that, um, I was uncomfortable, or I hate admitting that I feel like I'm being a baby a little bit about not, I want to be like, oh no, I can handle it all. I'm a man. I'm a man. I can handle it, and I can. But whenever you see these nice, so I'm trying to think of a way to articulate it. But the one thing for me and you both, I know you have coveralls, right? Don't you have coveralls? The
Yeah.
Brownies.
Yeah.
And I have big old coveralls too, right? And that's the thing, that's the thing that like really makes me appeal to these companies that are, where their clothes are, they fit so nice, is we have coveralls, we have like, you know um I know mine are blue, yours are brown, but they're big and kind of bulky, and you're trying to hike and stuff like that, and I mean, which, we usually shed those off if we're gonna hike a while or whatnot, but still, they're big and bulky is what I'm getting at, and kind of, by the time like I put on all my gear, I mean, I have layers and stuff, and I stay fairly warm, but I have like 15 layers. It feels like, I mean, not quite 15, but I have a ton of layers, and but like if I go and buy the expensive stuff from one of these top brands, I could get away with like 3 layers or 2 layers and be good for the day. And they're more fitted to where, you don't feel like you're just like full of clothes, and it adds an extra 10, 20 pounds to your whole.
You're right. Your whole pack. Like you can actually, like it makes your hike and hunt a lot better because you're not packing an extra 10 or 10 pounds or 5 pounds or whatever of just gear that
Yep.
takes up space and makes things a little bulky. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's definitely my logic to wanting to get the better stuff. And I plan on getting a few things before this next hunting season. So um I don't know, maybe we could talk about that, and maybe hopefully my purchase will be a wise one or whatnot. But but no, like, I mean, you know I see both sides of it. I mean, I guess where I'm trying to get to with all this is I see both sides of it because I know, kind of like where we came up and the way we were raised, you just went hunting with what you had and you made the best of it. And anything that you lacked in, you would hope that your hunting skill would excel with. If you didn't have the best gun, you knew that you had to get maybe a little bit closer. If you had a 30-30 open sight, uh, you had to get a little bit closer than the guy with the 338
Right.
Winchester. You had to get within 100 yards or so, and I mean that's just kind of the way we were raised. Nowadays, it's well, hell, you can sit in the on top of the mountain in your cabin and make a 800-yard shot toward the elk, and I mean that's pretty cool and everything, but I I don't know, man. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna do another segue here. I gotta ask you, what's the furthest shot that you think is ethical?
Oh, I think that's kind of a for me personally. I feel like 400 yards for me. You know, that's I've not that I've shot anything out that far, but target practicing, that's where I've taken shots out to. I haven't done much further than that, but you know, that's what I feel capable of. Comfortable of. I can't say what someone else's ethical shot is, evidently, because people are taking shots out to 1,000 yards, but
Yeah.
I don't know. It's you know that's that's just one of the things that I try to to do as a hunter is to know my limitations and not I don't know. Evidently they do make equipment that makes that possible, but I don't know. It's I'd like to think like I'm hoping that I can get myself the skills that I don't need to make an 800-yard shot. But at the same time, I know I contradict myself, but like, I hope to maybe someday have the equipment to be able to do that. If I feel possible, I guess that's the whole, I don't know, maybe what do you want to call it? Like, if he can do it, I can do it. you
Mm,
know, I, but, I think, but with the rifle, yeah, 400 yards with the equipment that I'm using.
that's funny. Well, it's not funny, but it is funny. Um, like for me, I'm more like 300 because like target practicing and stuff. Like the most I practice at is like 200 to 250. I'm usually staying around 100 to check my grouping, and then I might stretch out to 200 to 250, but I don't really go past that. And maybe it's because my equipment's not quite there to go past that, but
Well, the other thing too is that, that it takes a different for me another understanding that not that it's hard, but you gotta like know what your bullets are doing, understand your velocity, and understand like how far your bullet or the ammunition that you're using, what its capability is. Like 200 or like 200 yards or 300 yards just maybe the limitations, not necessarily of your caliber, but it's a limitation of the particular brand of bullets you're using or ammunition you're using.
yeah,
um and that and I just and then trying to understand how high you gotta aim and stuff. Like you kind of got to have a little bit more of an understanding of what's going on to kind of go way out there. And I think I haven't really taken the time to, I guess, not that I don't not understand it, but I just haven't like took my equipment and been like, all right, let's set this up and see what happens. Like what exactly I got to figure out to make sure I hit that. 600-yard target.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I guess the best way I can say, so my feeling is this is I would love to be able to know and be confident that I can hit 1,000-yard target, but I have no interest of shooting an animal at 1,000 yards or 800 yards or even 600 yards necessarily. I don't know. That's just my perspective. I just feel like 400 is probably the furthest, man. I feel like at 400 yards, if you're 400 yards away from something, you probably can figure out a way to get at least 100 yards closer. Well, if you're 800 yards away from something, I feel like you could at least get within 400 yards to make a different shot. I mean, I don't think you're going to spook an elk 800 yards away. I mean, I guess I could be wrong, but that's a long ways. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah. If I mean, if
I
you're
mean, it
not
might.
paying attention to your wind or whatnot, like, or just being a total whatever, like, yeah, you can spook stuff, but yeah, like you're saying though, if you're careful and do what you need to, yeah, you could close the distance a little bit more. I think, I go
Yeah.
here I'm talking like I know everything. I don't.
Well, and you know what? I mean, people that hear this, like, they're gonna hear this part of it, and I'll probably go through a shitstorm. But I, I'm just serious. Like, I don't really see the point of it, especially with an animal. I mean, the last thing you want to do is wound an animal and leave it out for dead, right?
Right.
An 800-yard shot, like, I mean, some people, I don't know. I guess if you practice that every day, or I mean, not every day, but every time you go out to shoot to the shooting range and you practice 800 yards, more power to you. But to be honest with you, I don't know too many gun ranges that are 800 yards.
That's true.
So who's practicing that? You know what I'm saying? Not very many people is what I'm saying, but everybody wants to talk about the 800-yard shot.
Yeah.
And I'm just kind of, I'm just kind of calling BS on it because I don't know. I don't know. That one, man, like I said, I mean, I don't know. I don't have a big ego. There's nothing for me to protect it. I am who I am. Once I get to about 300 yards or something, I'm like, I don't know, man. Is this ethical? Can I get a little bit closer to make a better shot? You know what I mean? And again, I'm probably making some outlandish statements that people will love to come back at me with, and maybe that's why this podcast is called "The Struggling Hunters," is because I'm don't feel comfortable doing past 300 yards, 400 yards at the most. But it is what it is, and that's just my perspective of it. I mean, I don't know. So that's just how I feel about it, Joe. I don't know. I mean,
True. True.
I would love to be able to say, yeah, I can hit a target at 1,000 yards, but I really have zero interest of shooting an animal at 1,000 yards, and that's just my opinion. I think there's just too much that can go wrong with that amount of distance, and I think that you could shoot that animal, hit its hind quarters, hit its graze the top of its back, maybe hit its shoulder, um, and he runs that elk or deer or whatever you're shooting at runs a mile away from that area, but he ends up bleeding out overnight, and you'll never know. You'll never know if you even hit him. That's the thing. I mean, within like 100 to 250, you can hear it. You can, there's so many tricks to tell if you actually hit your target. 800 yards, you ain't gonna know if you hit it unless that thing falls down in 50 yards. I mean, or unless you got a hell of a spotting scope, I guess. I don't know. I mean, I've never made an 800-yard shot, so I might be talking a little bit out of turn, but I mean, I don't know. This is my thoughts. So I don't know. I mean, I guess I'm making a big stance on that. I'm not trying to make a big stance. I mean, like I said, I'd love to be able to. I'd love to be confident, but I don't know too many people that are actually confident enough to do an 800,000-yard shot. So I don't know. I don't know. But with that, man, I mean, I think we've been going at it for a little bit. You want to save a little bit for next episode?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. Sounds good. Hey, guys, thanks for tuning in to the Struggling Hunters with me, Eric Stewart, and the man, Joe Imes. And we will get to you again next week with another episode of the Struggling Hunters. Joe, you got anything to sign off with?
Yeah, make sure leave a comment of something you want to hear us to discuss at some time, or if there's a comment that we said, give us a shout out on it, hit the like button, and keep your toilet paper supplied.
Famous last words. All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in. See you in the next one.